wise man can learn more from a foolish question than a fool can learn from a wise answer. For instance, what business does corporate have holding any losses against me unless it went to litigation? Why would it have gone to litigation if we weren't negotiating? And why would we be negotiating? Whatever you thought I was accused of, why would we be negotiating? Satanists believe God spake the light into existence in the beginning, etc. And God said, "Let there be light." But then God divided the heavens from the void to create the firmament. He didn't speak the firmament, so it's just a bullshit excuse to spy on people. Now that we know what it's not, which is a religion, how do we quantify a hostile, criminal, or foreign conventional attack? A whistleblower is protected from within the organization. So listen, when I write to Pennsylvania Avenue about John Hinckley Jr., the president gets that. The FBI accused the president of receiving classified information. After Vietnam, the media went corporate. Corporate started getting real uppity. That's when we got the Levian Satanic Bible, Roe versus Wade, corporate prisons. Now, what Congress fails to recognize is that we already have a democracy here. A prison is always a government. Any prison, unbeholden to the democracy, is a direct challenge to public powers of arrest. It's a colony. It's a declaration of war. People they find guilt. They find some kind of answer they don't like, and they try to cover it up. And this is where Christianity comes in. There is forgiveness. You have to be able, willing to give your secrets to the man of the book. Separation of church and state. Well, the messenger of Allah doesn't like that. So what is the argument? Did corporate think that FDR's New Deal caused the Second World War? Like, we're the Nazis, cover up. Is that what Babu said? Babu has a global non-aggression pact. If anybody attacks Babu, everybody has to fight for Babu. It's the perfect way to launder money. Stick an entire continent between us and Babu, and that's why Somalia. But if 200,000 starved for us to be there to begin with, it goes to follow that when they shot our pilots down in Mogadishu, they ate them. And if they ate our pilots, we're not obligated to negotiate. We're not obligated to negotiate with anybody who does. So we're still at war. The humans, maybe not you. The reason I brought up Satanism, aside from people raping little boys in surgery and following them around until they shoot up a school. Since Vietnam, we've got all these weird little cults. Any anthropologist will tell you that a cult performs ceremonial burial, last rites. The ferryman always gets paid. So if you have some kind of a tax shelter passing the buck and pointing the finger without consecrating the soil, it doesn't even qualify as a cult. Purposes of whether or not our forefathers fought and died to consecrate your right to worship in peace. Playing God with people, or the realization that you are God, is inherent to Satanism, but it's called apotheosis, which is a form of heresy. And when Lucifer rebelled from heaven, he took over. He set about constructing a kingdom upon the earth like that of heaven, and he became Satan. Well, what is that if not the government? He committed heresy, he changed his name, and God tolerated his existence. If Satan punishes the wicked, are he and God not on the same side? The corporation was canonized by St. Paul for saved Christians and kosher Jews. Islam disagrees. So when the media went corporate after Vietnam, it became an open door for humanity's closest natural enemies. Saudi Taliban is still Taliban. Oh, these are the good Muslims. It might further be argued, presumed, that the United Nations was founded for the express purpose of destroying the United States, and that nothing we have ever gained through our partnership with them has had a lasting benefit to we the people. Gandhi wasn't even Hindu. Hinduism is arguably by classical stipulations, a real religion. You can be born a priest, you can be born a king, and it might be argued that that's slavery, but at least they're not the same guy. Hinduism doesn't need a non-aggression pact because they weren't going to attack us anyway. Islam, on the other hand, FDR's New Deal was reactionary. It let the corporation borrow against our population credit, against the presumption that between forensic criminal investigation, due process, and foreign diplomacy, we could recover our losses. What FDR forgot about, because it had been about 50 years, is that there is an item in the U.S. Cavalry Charter that the Treasury remains solvent or they muster. If the Treasury goes broke, we're at a de facto state of war. The FBI was founded for no higher purpose than to take care of our light work. Nobody wants another General George Armstrong Custer on our hands. But I wake up every day seething with rage, absolutely golden, because you idiots couldn't investigate your way out of a wet paper bag. In 2014, a doctor ripped off the insurance company. That's you? In 2015, collections tried to kill me. They said your protection ran out. I tried to subpoena the hospital, but they got to the lawyer, so I had to look into it. In 2016, my protection fled the country. Foreign diplomatic immunity has no longer been a factor for the past 8 years. Now what's your excuse? It turns out, when I was 6 years old, I was raped in surgery. But it was something I said after that, you think? Whoever told Washington that we were negotiating is an enemy of the state. Singing along to the screams of your political enemies is a form of golden calf worship, Mithraism, which might register as Satanism with the Jews. Like you're helping? No. My name is Noel D. Smith, single, straight, no kids, never married. No abortions, no abominations, no divorces, no bankruptcies, formerly decorated so-and-so with the yada yada, airframe triage theologies. Never perjured myself under oath, never forged ink on paper, never sold cocaine, and I've never been a hacker. I don't know how to run a server, much less hack one. Turnabout is not at play. Since the turn of the 20th century, since Gandhi, Central Africa has been conditioned to persecute or starve, which is nothing new. But now, in English and French, we're not allowed to attack Africa or India. We may as well give up. Start learning Arabic. 40-year crack epidemic full of school shootings, worried about what they did. Social justice rapists don't want to let me talk to Washington. Feminazi grandma and her gay mafia roommate think they're the king and queen of England. There's no non-disclosure agreement. There's no arrangement. There was no deal. We were not negotiating. Statute begins when obstruction ends. Otherwise, the obstruction is just an extension of the original crime. What are you scared of, Washington? How would the American public feel about knowing that they are being denied justice because Washington's afraid they're going to get in trouble? The will of the people is specifically enumerated in the Bill of Rights, consecrated in the blood of a revolution and a civil war. Voting has ended. It's already paid for.